Well, good morning. This is Jim Moore, and you are watching Words of Encouragement, day 366. Took a short break at day 365 and doing some traveling and coming back home. So glad to be back in the saddle. Just thank you for those of you who tune in today and listen. And I know that there's a lot of things you could be doing with your time, and I appreciate your taking the time to come on and be here today. So I want to start off the program this morning by just giving a quick update about where Linda and I have been and what we're doing. I apologize, first of all, for being late. I forgot how much preparation it took to get this thing put together. It's always fascinating to me. Hey, Sarah, God bless you. So I'm going to take 5 minutes is all. I'm going to watch the clock. I'm literally going to watch the clock and take 5 minutes to give you an update, because I believe that the subject this morning that the Lord spoke to me is extremely important. I don't think we think it's that important. And there's a bit of the hesitancy to talk about what I'm going to talk about this morning. But I think because the Lord brought it, it's, obviously on his heart and on his mind. So, amen. So I hope somebody comes on. Sarah, you got to share with some people or something. I'm praying for you, by the way. Hallelujah. So Linda and I just got back from Texas. So you see I'm in my little makeshift space here. What do they call this? Yeah, I don't know what they call it. Anyway, it's my room, but it's a place where I've got all my memorabilia. And so we traveled back from Texas, where we are creating a space for ourselves there. So many people ask me this all the time, and I want to make sure I'm clear about this understanding that we are not leaving Oregon entirely. Hey, Rick, God bless you. Good to have you here. We're not, vacating the state entirely. We are creating a second place for us to live. We're going to be doing some traveling extensively. For those of you who have followed Linda and my ministry and what we're doing and trying to help the body of Christ, and that really is what we're doing. We're not trying to promote ourselves. We're just trying to help the body of Christ in any way we can before the Lord calls us home. It's really that simple. And but we have stepped, how would we say it? We want to say it correctly, stepped down from the day-to-day functioning of the House of Prayer. We were not only the founders of the House of Prayer, but the directors. So we oversaw all the functions of the House of Prayer for like 18 years. And the Lord had been dealing with us for quite a while that was going to come to an end. It finally did. Good brother and his family, Richard and Ginger Frank, stepped into that position, but we are still operating as apostolic overseers. And I think our official title is apostolic ambassadors, which I think is kind of cool. Anyway, so we are free now to move around the country and to talk to people about what the Lord is doing and how we can help them. We just want to help them. The time of the coming of the Lord is always drawing near. It may be a day, it may be a decade, I don't know, but we're living like it's any day, like Jesus said to live. That's what the way he said. So blame him, okay? He said, you live like your master could come every day. I think he meant that. So we're doing some traveling. And one of the things that we felt, I haven't shared this publicly, so I'm going to say it real quick. And I want to say it carefully because I don't want to go into detail because it would be unnecessary time spent. But Linda and I rarely fly. We almost never fly. There's a reason for that. There's some health issues. There's different reasons. Multiple reasons, don't want to go into it. So we almost always are on the road, and we actually prefer that as well. We like traveling that way, but that's not the primary reason. But because we're on the road so much, we depend a lot on our vehicles, and we actually depend on places to stay. So we stay a lot with friends, and we also are going to be staying now. We have kids in Texas, okay? We have kids here in Oregon, right? And we have kids in Texas. We're not abandoning either one. We love them all. But the way we felt like the Lord was telling us, hi, Mom. Nice to have you. Happy birthday, by the way. So again, yeah, Mom's stretching out her birthday. So the long and the short of it, I said 5 minutes, I'm almost up. We are going to be having a place to be here, obviously, in Oregon. And then at the other spot where our kids live in Texas, we need a place there. Now, the reason why, that is, if you know your map of the United States, it's exactly halfway, right? So we have a spot, and maybe someday we'll have a spot on the East Coast, I don't know. But so we have a spot to be in Oregon, and when we land here, very modest. We live in a manufactured home. I'm not ashamed to say that. We got it for dirt cheap. It's nice, but very inexpensive. And I say that because I know the reputation for preachers has been in the past. They're spending millions of dollars. They've got multiple homes, multiple cars. Whenever we seek to share a need with somebody, we're not going out and buying a fishing boat, although I would love to do that. But we're really just, we're just trying to live modestly. We're trying to live simply. We do that by choice. We're not poverty. I don't believe in poverty. I don't believe in that. I believe it's demonic, actually, because I've seen poverty at its worst. But we do believe in living simply. We believe Jesus lived that way, and that's how we want to live. So everybody's own conviction. So we'll have this home, and then we also have our motor home, which we will do some traveling. And we do that again because we like it, first of all. We really do like it. It's the whole RV thing. But also because it saves us a tremendous amount of money that we live off of from the generosity of people like you. And I won't talk a lot about money today, but we do live off offerings, and we live off people to say, I believe in the ministry that Jim and Linda Moore do. I believe that they have something to give to the body of Christ. And like multitudes of others, we're just one spoke in the wheel. But this is what the Lord has called us to do, and so we're trying to be faithful to do it. So we have this home here, very modest home. We have so we have the manufactured home, we have the motor home, and then we will have one more place in Texas that's actually in the space where our kids live. They have an outbuilding. It's a pole barn. If you've ever seen some of these look like a metal barn, that's basically what it is. So we're going to be doing the whole barn to home, shed to home, tiny home kind of a thing. Okay, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Now they have provided that space for us, and I'm almost done. And they provided the actual shell, the structure. They've got this farm home they just bought and so on. And we're going to be converting that into a tiny apartment for us. And so when we're traveling and we get to the halfway point of the country in Texas, we're going to stop there. We're going to have a place to land. Just like when we're here, we're going to have a place to land here. So, and of course, added benefit, yay, we get to see our kids and grandkids because we love them. We miss them. And if you're listening, we love you guys, Deb and Dirk, and Cassidy and Matthew. Anyway, and love our kids here. All right. This doesn't happen without money. I know I'm over my 5 minutes. Forgive me. Feel free to come on and say something, okay? I like the interaction, okay? Make a comment, say anything, say boo. But it doesn't happen without money. So, again, we don't have a 401k. We have lived. I know some people don't think this is biblical, and every person has to do what they feel like God says, but we don't have a 401k. We have lived our life hopefully in a sacrificial way, in a godly way. And so we trust the Lord that if he says, this is what I want you to do, he'll provide. But he always provides through his people. Now, I shouldn't say always. I mean, I have yet to find a bag of gold somewhere or a big wad of money somewhere. God uses the generosity of people who say, I believe that this is so. The sowing and reaping. I'm going to sow into this seed. And I really like the fact that we can get away from doing it so I can get something back. But at the same time, we do receive when we sow. Anyway, I don't want to go into all that, but I believe this ministry, what we do is good ground. And we want to keep doing this on the internet, and we want to keep writing books, and we want to keep being guest speakers at other houses of prayer and other churches. We're in Oregon for a couple months. If anybody would like us to come and speak, we'd love to do that. So anyway, we have a pretty good sizable amount of money to raise. I think we've got I think the remodel is going to cost about $27,000. Now, I know that sounds like a lot. To me, that sounds like a lot. It might as well be $1 million. But God is faithful. The combination of what we paid for this home, our RV, and that home, 3 homes, believe it or not. And again, it's not a luxury. but the combination of those things is less than $100,000. It's less than most people would pay for one home. So I'm just trying to help you understand that we're trying to be frugal and responsible and so on. So if you'd like to help us in that way, we really ask you. I'm not the guy that likes to ask a lot. I just have never been that way. But the Lord says, hey, make your need known. It's really funny, and I'll stop right here. We've got people who over the years, I will not name names, of course, but we've got people who have done both things. People say, you shouldn't beg. You shouldn't beg. Jesus wouldn't beg. And we don't believe in begging. This is not begging. This is what the other half of those people say. They say, hey, I actually have had them mad at me. Jim, how can we help? We believe in what you do. How can we help if you don't tell us how to help? And, the Bible says that. It says that we should, you have not because you ask not. We are supposed to make our needs known. I believe that with all my heart, but we do that try to do it very delicately and with great reserve. We don't typically do anything public like this. Usually it's a very private thing and so on and so on. All right. There's my heart. I'm done. Okay. I want to get in. Hey, Sarah. Yes, he is. And Sarah, you've experienced that too. And I have. We have literally lived 40 years, God taking care of us, and he's taking good care of us. And we've had to go without sometimes. We have, absolutely. But so have you. And I know the guys that get paid big bucks at their jobs. And I love that. I love the fact that God has entrusted them with that. But you know what? Our security is not in our paycheck. Our security is in the Lord. He is the one. He says that he's always going to take care of us. Jesus was real specific. He says, why you take thought about that? Look at the birds of the air. Come on, guys. He said, your Father's going to take care of you. And he does. All right. Amen. Are you ready for the Bible? I am so ready. Okay, this is long today. Now, I'm not going to make it long. I'm going to keep it down to an hour like I always do. But the subject is long. And so I want to get right into it because I've already used up 20 minutes of my time here. I had a dream the other night, and I'm going to give you just a little personal backdrop. And when I say this is long, there are a lot of scriptures. I would strongly encourage you to go to Facebook, okay? Go to the commentary, the description box at the top. I think it's at the top. So when we advertise, here's the message today. At the top, there's a description box. Now, you can literally highlight that box, cut and paste it, save it somewhere, like in a Word document or something. This is a Bible study today, okay? If you're not afraid of studying the Bible, that's what this is today. It starts with the dream that I had, but it launches into a Bible study. I may have to do this tomorrow too, I don't know. But this is not a subject people like to study on. I'm going to be frank with you. People do not like... You advertise a Bible study on this subject that I'm about to, people don't come. And I get it because I hate the devil. I don't know about you. Hey, Gab, how you doing? Nice to have you. Excuse me, that's Carly. Thought that said Gabby. Nice to have you, Carly. But this is not one of those subjects that people are beating down the door to hear. And I get that. I don't like the enemy. But, we're not supposed to be ignorant of his devices. Jesus actually said quite a bit about his adversary, and so did Paul, and so did Peter. So the New Testament has quite a bit to say. Doesn't often mention his name, the enemy's name, which I'm really happy about. Whenever I write his name, I write it with a small s, not a capital S. I've always done that. All right, so I'm going to start out by telling you a quick dream that I had. So if I don't get through all this, if the Lord will allow me, I'll finish it up tomorrow. But cut and paste this. Save the verses, look them up. Not trying to be mean. Look those verses up. You need to refresh. We're not supposed to live with the enemy in our view all the time. He should be in our rear view mirror. But we do need to know what he does so that we don't fall prey. In Matthew 24, when they asked Jesus, what are going to be the signs of the end? You know what the very first thing he said was? The very first thing Jesus said when they asked him about the end days. Don't be deceived. Okay. Well, who's going to do the deceiving? That's your enemy. Okay, so it pays to know a little bit, right? Again, we don't have our main focus on him. I'm big about preaching that. Our main focus should be the Lord. The main thing is to keep the main thing, and that's Jesus. But there are other things that are not the main thing that we still need to know about. Okay, so day 366. I call this the candy snake, and you'll know why in a minute. So it starts out, with a dream. Okay. I've got a few real quick questions here. Number one, why do we shy away from the subject of the demonic? Well, because we hate the devil and we don't want to give him glory. Well, there's a difference between giving him glory and exposure or exposing him. My goal is not to glorify him, but to expose. There is a difference between the two, and you have to understand what those are. You know, there are some people that really do, in their inordinate attention upon the enemy, they wind up giving him glory, usually without knowing it or wanting to. But so we're not ignorant of his devices. We do need to know, okay? But it's really about exposing. Hi, Janet, God bless you. So that's why we shy away. Number two, why do we think people who don't are crazy? Well, probably for the same reason, because we just think they're a little bizarre. You know, one of the things is true. If you have supernatural experiences in your life, you tend to be a little different than because the majority of people in the world either don't have those supernatural experiences or they're not really even aware of them. Okay, and then we are going to talk about what Jesus said about demons because he is the ultimate authority, right? So if you want to know about this subject or any other subject, go to the source. Go to the one that says, I am the truth. Good morning, Ratna. Nice to have you. All right, so let's just real quick before I read the dream, what is a demon? So understand this, the word demon, devil, basically the same thing. Old King James, when you read the Bible, is typically going to talk about casting out devils, right? New Testament, or excuse me, other translations usually say demon. The reason, it's the same. Don't major on the minors, okay? The reason that you typically say demon instead of devil is to make a distinction between, the head honcho himself, Mr. Slewfoot, the dragon, Satan, whatever, and his imps, okay? Demons basically are disembodied spirits. Good morning, David. How are you? So the same way, just let me say it this way, the same way that Jesus can give you a part of his spirit, a specific, and again, I can't go into this super, super deep because there are multiple studies involved in this subject about the dream I had, and I'm getting to the dream. But understand, you can have the spirit of wisdom. Have you ever read the sevenfold spirits of God, spirit of counsel, spirit of might? Often I pray for the spirit of wisdom and revelation. We're not talking about attitudes like somebody says, oh, there's such a great spirit in the coffee shop tonight. No, we're talking about literal spiritual entities, the spirit of the Lord or the spirit of the enemy. So demons are a part and parcel of the enemy. That's all I'm going to go into. But there are such things as like a spirit of infirmity. When you read the Bible, and like the woman who had a spirit, okay, are you listening? A spirit of infirmity, what was he saying? He wasn't saying an attitude of sickness. He was saying she had a demon, okay? Spirit equals demon. Remember that, okay? So you might read about it, and I do think this is one of those times, sometimes when people, the translators kind of dumb it down a little bit, and if you're not careful, you just read past it, and you don't think of the fact that she actually had a demon. So demons are real, okay? They're as real as God. They are invisible, right? I know people freak out about that. They can believe in angels. Angels are invisible, and they believe in them because they're cool and they're nice and they do good stuff. But demons, it's like, oh, I don't know about that. No, they're real, okay? If your eyes were open, you could see them just like you've seen angels, okay? You're not going to get ahead in the kingdom by denying them and saying they're not real. As a matter of fact, you need to know they're real, and you need to know, and hopefully through the course of this telling you about this dream today, you'll have a little bit better ability to discern, because you don't want to be the person that's blind and ignorant and has no concept. Everything is natural, okay? Everything's physiological. You don't want to be that person that has such a carnal mind that you do not have the ability to discern spirits, even as a natural Christian, or even the gift of discerning of. When it says discerning of spirit, what do you think it's talking about? It's talking about the discerning of demons, not just attitude. Because see, sometimes in our vernacular, in the culture today, the word spirit can mean kind of like an attitude. It was a wonderful spirit at the dance tonight. It was a wonderful spirit at church. Really, we're talking about the spirit world. We're talking about spirits that are from the Lord. There's only two, right? Right? There's only two. Okay. Hey, Tam, God bless you. Nice to have you. So there are God's spirits and the enemies. Don't you ever dare be deceived to thinking that we're in between. Well, there's human spirits, right? There's us. But in the spiritual kingdom, there's that which is of God and that which is of the enemy, period. Okay, now your spirit can go either way. I don't want to get into that. All right, so you don't want to be the person that's on the one end. You have no discernment. Everything's natural. You never see anything spiritual. You wouldn't know a demon if it hit you in the side of the head. Okay, you don't want to be that person. But you also want to be the person where everything is a demon. Every itch that you have, every thought that you have, everything somebody says, every attack, everything is a demon. Those are extremes, and you want to know the difference between the two. You know why? Because that's the place where you're not obsessed. Okay, when you have proper discernment that's functioning, okay, I don't want to say automatically because I'm not sure it's always, it's not hard, but you can get to where you have a sense for it without having to really strain to figure it out all the time. The people that get obsessed are the ones that really don't have discernment functioning. All right, let me just stop right there. So that's what we're aiming at, is this middle of the road. But yes, demons are real. They've always been real. They're not any less real today because our culture doesn't believe in them. Okay, Keith Green used to sing the song. It's getting very simple now because no one believes in me anymore. We need to know the truth. Okay, so yes, demons are real. So on. Okay, let's go into the dream. Okay, are you ready? Now, I called this dream the candy snake, and that's going to be very obvious. Hey, God bless you. I think that's all right. Okay, you ready? Okay, sorry it took me so long to get here. So you can read along with me in the box up on top, or you can just listen real close. So I had a dream last night. Now, when I'm reading this dream, understand I write down these dreams. I don't write them down to share with everybody, but occasionally, it may seem like a lot to you, but I get a ton of dreams. So probably I'm only sharing one in, 20, whatever, 50. But when I'm writing, I'm not writing necessarily for you, the listener. I'm writing for myself so I can have a record, so I can talk to them about God. So some of it sounds personal. That's why I try to clean it up a little bit before I put it out in the public. But anyway, I had a dream last night that I was fighting a demon. Anybody with me? Are you with me? You ever feel like you were fighting a demon? Now, a little bit of backdrop to this. I wound up having a plugged up ear the other day. Now, I'm going to have to launch right into this because the very first question people are going to have is, good morning, Terry. Nice to see you. Glad to have you. Okay. The interplay, listen closely. The interplay between the natural and the spiritual world is always happening, and it's not always easy to see. You cannot write a rule book for what is and isn't and expect to be 100% accurate. It does take spiritual connection with Jesus, with the Holy Spirit, with Papa God, and activated. And what I'm saying is because sometimes we read books, this demon, this, and we want to get it all figured out in our head. But you really need to discern, okay? For example, I had this clogged up ear. In my great spiritual wisdom, was thinking entirely natural, okay? My first thought was not that it was an attack of the enemy. My first thought it was completely natural. Now, the truth is, many times it's a combination of the two, okay? The enemy can touch you. If you could see in the spirit world, again, let's talk about the lady who has a spirit or a demon of infirmity. Now, that thing had attached to her for many, many years. Sometimes these things can go on for a long time. Sometimes they're just a brush. They just brush by. You are come against. Not everything that comes against you is a demon, okay? Lots of things that happen to us happen because we're dumb and we do dumb things, okay? You go out, stand in front of a car and you get hit, you can't blame the devil. Maybe the devil provoked your thoughts to do that. That could very well be true. But you get what I'm saying? There's interplay between the spirit world and the natural world. Now, a person can have, now again, let's just go into this spirit, demon, okay, get it? A spirit equals demon. Infirmity is what? Somebody write it. What is infirmity? Sometimes these words, we forget what we're talking about. Okay, we do it instantly, but we forget. What is infirmity? It means sickness. Jesus says there is a spirit of sickness. You get that? Okay, think about it for a second. We're talking about, and I know I'm going long on this, but I want you to get it in your head. Okay, there is such a thing as a spirit or a demon of infirmity or sickness. Spirit of infirmity literally equals demon of sickness. Now that is Bible. That is Jesus. Now, did Jesus say every sickness was a demon? No, he did not. Okay, if you go into your refrigerator and see a moldy piece of meat and shove it in your mouth and eat it, again, the enemy might have provoked you to do something stupid, but really that's not, that is biological. You get what I'm saying? It's biological, you brought it on yourself and so on. Now, sometimes when the enemy hits you, now I had this thing in my ear and I actually went to the doctor and my ear was clogged. I had it cleaned out. I know that's gross. I'm sorry for having to share that with you. But nevertheless, I was still being under attack. I could feel it was. And anyway, so that's where this dream, I believe the Lord showed me this dream so that I could help teach you and me too. I'm always learning. You know, there are attacks in the spiritual. Now hear me. Listen close. There are attacks that happen from the spirit that actually affect you in the natural, just like a natural thing would. Okay? How do you think when Jesus says she has a spirit of sickness? Does that mean she wasn't really sick? No, she was actually physically sick. But it was being provoked by a spirit, a demon. Okay? How does that work? I'm not exactly sure how that works. But I know that people get illnesses and diseases that literally are demonic in origin, but they are literally also playing out in their physical body. So you don't go, oh, I'm not really sick. No, you really are sick. We're not talking about what's happening. We're talking about how it started and so on and so on. All right. So this is the dream I had. And again, I'm hoping it speaks to you. So I had a dream last night. I was fighting a demon. It started out as a rainbow colored snake. Now, I couldn't identify this thing completely in the beginning because it just didn't make sense to me. It was a snake, okay? I used the picture of a gummy worm because it looked like these gummy worms that you see that are, they're kind of rainbow colored and they're sort of sparkly because they're covered with sugar, okay? And I remember looking at that snake in the dream and going, that's the weirdest looking snake I've ever seen. But I tend to kill snakes, okay? That's what I do. That's part of my job. Okay, and so what I did in the dream is I went after that snake, and I thought this is the most weirdest looking snake I've ever seen, but I went after to kill it. Now, it wasn't until after I woke up that I began to understand that this looked like those little gummy worms. Okay, it wasn't a gummy worm, it wasn't candy, but it had the appearance. How many of you know that the enemy can appear, okay, literally transfigured? Now, again, I want to talk to you in literal terms. This is not metaphors and make-believe and Harry Potter and Disneyland fantasy. These are real things, okay? And that's one of the things I think that the entertainment industry and basically the secular unbelieving world wants to do is to make it all fantasy. That's what really the enemy wants to do through these various things, to make it all seem like it's make-believe, so that you lose the understanding that it is actually real. It is actually real, okay? So, I jumped after this candy-colored snake. I call it the candy snake. This is what the enemy does. He tries to make light dark and dark light. He tries to make good evil and evil good. He tries to make sweet bitter and bitter look sweet. So he often appears. I mean, think about it. If you were the devil, okay, would you appear in red pajamas and a pitchfork and horns? No, of course you wouldn't. That is, that may be closer to the way you really look. And actually, that's what happens. This snake, which represents a demon or the devil himself, begin to transform over time into his true looks and appearance. Most of the time, if you've listened to testimonies of people who have actually gone to hell, had an afterlife experience, that happens too. Not everybody goes to heaven, okay? I've had that experience. I know a number of people that have. Okay, it's not what we like to talk about, but we need to once in a while. Okay, when you see these demonic entities, they are grotesque. Okay, they do look like some of the stuff you see in movies and the people draw in their coloring books and stuff. I mean, they're not pretty. But they can transform to look like that. The Bible says, 2 Corinthians, it's one of the verses I have here, you can look up. It says, do not marvel or be amazed. that even Satan himself, so much more his imps and demons can do this, but he can transform himself. Transform. Remember how Jesus was on the mountain and he was transfigured? Okay, Satan has the ability, I hate it, I don't like it, I hate him, but it's still the truth, to transform himself into what? An angel of light. One of the writers in the New Testament, I forget which one, went so far as to say, if any of us, maybe it was Paul, preach to you any other gospel than what has been preached, even an angel from heaven. Now, why was he saying that? Because he knew that the enemy could transform himself into an angel of light. Now, why is this important? Because if you don't know the truth and you were to see something like that or have something presented to you, the candy snake, looks good, sounds good, everybody else is doing it, must be okay. And it directly contradicts the word of God. And you consume that, you embrace that, you agree with that, then you've opened the door. And there will be consequences to that. Let me read on. So you get the concept and the appearing as candy. Okay. Rainbow-colored snake, it sparkled and had a desirous, almost candy-like appearance. It was partially hidden. Now, it was hidden behind a like a board. And I'm not sure the implications of this, but there was a board leaning up against a wall. And to me, that has real symbolism, because a board speaks of boards. Like, I have been on many boards in churches and ministries, and we have become way more professional than we are spiritual. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm just saying, churches, it's okay to have a board, but that board is not supposed to run. We are not, board driven. We are not entities that run like the world runs. Okay. Ours is a kingdom from above. We have a king. He gets to say, we get to say yes. So sometimes the enemy is hiding behind our systems and our structures that really are not subject to prayer and the leading of the Holy Spirit, but just to what looks good on paper. That's all I'm going to say. Now, the wall that the board was leaning up against, okay, that has language that appeals to me directly, because we preach and we teach, and I have taught personally many, many times out of the book of Isaiah, where it talks about the Lord says, I will set watchmen on the wall. The wall becomes this wall of intercession, day and night intercession and worship that protects the city. It's a whole nother subject, but I think what that represents is the verse where Jesus said, hear this now, he said, my house is supposed to be a house of prayer. Okay, that's the wall. To me, that represents the wall. But you have made it a den of thieves. That's the board, whose bottom line is money. Okay, nothing matters if we don't have, get all the money coming in. And again, I don't think that's the main point of the dream, but I do believe that the Lord is trying to shake the church again into a place where they're not money driven. Now, the problem with being money driven is most of the time you don't really believe you are. Randy, God bless you. Sorry, I just saw you. Okay. So anyway, but let's go on with the snake. So I see the snake. It's behind the board, in between the board and the wall. I go after it. It disappears. So I continue looking for the rainbow snake to destroy it when suddenly it appeared again. Now, this is important. It appears what? This time it appears as a bear. So at first I didn't realize it was the same snake, but after a while I could recognize by its actions and intentions that it was. It had a different form, hear this now, but it was the same demon. Now I just want to say something real quick about life. Are you listening? Life is all about choice. You know this. Have you ever considered that you are in a warfare? That you were literally born into a war? Think of a country that is embroiled in a war. I think of Haiti. It's almost its entire existence has been one of conflict and warfare. Let's just say that is where you were born. Now, you're born into warfare. Again, I know not many people like to hear this, but it's true. You were born, and I'm talking about literal. I'm not talking about spiritually born again. We talk about that. We say, well, when you got saved, you launched into war. Honey, listen to me. When you were born physically on this earth, you were launched into a dynamic of a battle between light and dark. Everybody in the world recognizes that, saved or unsaved. Your movies, what are they about? The conflict between light and dark. They may have different ideas about who's the light and who's the dark, okay? And they get them mixed up, but you didn't even have a say. Are you listening to me? I want to talk about choice and how it relates to the enemy, okay? Think of this, think real close now. Put your thinking ears on. Nobody asked you if you could be born. Holy Spirit, I ask you to give us a spirit of wisdom and revelation right now. You need to hear what I'm saying. Nobody asked your permission. You live in a world where it's all about you making choices, right? You get to say, and God gave you that. But when initially, he did not give you that. He didn't ask your permission to be born. Your mom and dad made the decision, okay? You were born completely and entirely without having a say in it. All of a sudden, there you were. Nobody asked you. There you are, okay? Zero choice, okay? Now, what happens after that? Well, again, for the first, weeks, months, year, whatever, you still don't have any choices. Okay, you may want something, but you can't make it happen. I know, I'm not trying to insult your intelligence, but I want you to think about the issue of choice. The reason I say this is because you don't have a choice that you were born into a world that is a conflict between light and darkness. You didn't get to say. What you do have a choice about is how you respond to your environment. You can respond by pretending it's not happening, which is what I think many, many people do. Maybe most people. It's not really happening. I don't believe it's happening, okay? Do you realize that just because you don't believe it doesn't make it true? It's still happening. This invisible world that plays out in the natural, this conflict between good and evil, right and wrong, God and the devil. Please don't go, God defeated the devil, blah, blah, blah. I get all that. I know that. It was done at the cross. That's all. But the conflict still rages on, right? Yes, Jesus won the battle at the cross. I'm not diminishing that. Matter of fact, that's a whole nother subject. But you're in it. You get what I'm saying? The battle didn't stop at the cross. Okay? As a matter of fact, it intensified. Now it's just aimed at you instead of him. Okay? And he's with you and you win, and I get all that. But you cannot ignore or pretend the reality of this battle away. I'm not talking about your personal battle necessarily, although that's usually a part of it. I'm talking about a global, universal conflict that you were born into without your permission. Now that's kind of sobering. You can pretend it isn't there. You can ignore it. You can just la, 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 la. I don't want to give the devil any glory. You know what? I don't either. But we need to know the truth of where we're at too, right? Okay, so the other thing is, as you get older, now, again, you don't have choice, right? Who chooses for you? This thing that you value above everything else, we call it freedom of choice. I get to say, I hope you're listening to what I'm saying. I hope you share this with somebody. Even your eternity is not God's choice or the devil's choice. It's your choice. You get to choose where you spend eternity. There's no choice in the universe that is more important than that choice. You're going to choose where you spend eternity, either with God or with Satan. Period. There's no in between. You're not going to be a ghost flittering around at some graveyard. It ain't going to happen. And you're not going to come back as a grasshopper. Okay? Hi, how you doing, Bill? God bless you. You're either going to spend eternity with God or with Satan. That's it. There is no in between. That is the greatest choice. Now, when you first come into the world, you are born without any say, any choice. And then for the first few years, somebody else is choosing for you. We know what we want. We're hungry. Okay? Very first thing, a baby, he's hungry. What does a baby do? He can't go make a meal. He can't go to McDonald's. He can't roast a steak. What does he do? He cries. That's the only thing you do is just cry. You are 100% dependent. You still don't have a choice. After you're born, you still don't have a choice. Somebody else has to choose for you. Choose what you eat. Choose how much you eat. Choose when you eat. When you sleep. Whether you get your diaper changed. And what happens? I'm trying to make this part short. As you grow, what happens? Your responsible person that's over you lets the line out little by little. I wrote this down at the bottom of the comment. You can read it. Lets out the line little by little. Little bit of choice, little more choice, little more choice. Time goes on. How do you want to eat? And choice comes with what? Responsibility. Okay? You can choose to eat, 500 Twinkies in one day. And, you're going to, pardon me, but barf your guts out. And so choice comes with God. So your choices are given to you by the authority figure. For what purpose? And I'll stop with this. Not the whole program, but I'll stop with this issue. The purpose of them giving you choice little by little is to teach you the consequence of choice so that you can be blessed by your choices and not ruined by them. And the ultimate biggest choice of all is God. People who say, well, I'm not going to tell my kids what to believe about religion. I believe that is the worst decision you could ever make about your kids, ever. And God will hold you responsible for that, whether you like it or not. All right, so let me finish this stream. I've got 10 minutes. Hang out with me. If I need to come back tomorrow, I'll come back tomorrow. All right, so I'm looking for this enemy. It goes now from what? Okay, it was the angel of the light. It was like a candy, enticing looking snake. The what? Some child who doesn't know any better, okay? The kid that doesn't know any better, that grabs the thing that looks sparkly and shiny and tastes sweet in their mouth but kills them, okay? That's what it was. So then it disappears, and when it reemerges now, and I believe this has a historical context with the way the enemy has operated in the world. Hey, Justin. The enemy starts out, what did he do when he came to Adam and Eve? He came as a candy-colored snake, as it were, trying to convince them that right is wrong and wrong is right, and that God is bad instead of good, and that this thing he said not to eat of because it'll be good. That's what he does. That's what he does. That's what he does. But as time goes on, hear me now, and people move in greater levels of agreement. Jesus, help us. Holy Spirit, I feel your presence right now. As time goes on and people move in greater agreement with the snake begins to show who he really is. In the dream, he went from a snake to a bear. Okay? Now, as he manifests, I don't have time to go into every little thing about what these things represent, but you can pray about them. God will show you. So he manifests himself. He was no longer concerned about hiding himself. Is anybody, are you aware that this is what's actually happening in the world right now? That the enemy himself is coming out of the closet? No, I'm not giving him glory. No. There's a difference, as I said in the beginning, between giving him glory and exposing. The Bible actually says the light exposed the dark. He's supposed to be exposed. It's unbelievable to me how many people believe things that are demonic or dark or sinful in origin are now okay with them. I want to shake them. I want to tell them, you're being deceived. You will stand before the Lord in the things that he said are right and wrong, not what you think or not what the culture has convinced you now is okay just because everybody's doing it. So this demon snake then turns into a bear, which is another representation. And then finally, I have to skip, as we're fighting, now we're fighting, myself and some others. I start out, I'm trying to kill the snake, and the snake hides, and then the snake turns into a bear, and then a number of us are trying to kill this bear, okay? And how do you kill the enemy? You can't kill him in the natural, because he's a spiritual being, but how do you take away his power? Not by pretending he's not there, and not by saying, well, the devil doesn't have any power. No, really, he does. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying he has it. He has authority because we give it to him. I get that. But there is still a conflict going on. Every one of you have people in your life that are walking in agreement with the enemy, and you are fighting. Okay? How do you disarm him? How do you take away his strength? Well, not so much just by fighting him, but by the revelation of truth, the revelation of light, the revelation of love. The greatest weapon against the enemy is the Lord himself. Okay, so anyway, I need to stick to subject here. Finally, this what started out looking like a candy snake winds up becoming every bit the demon that you would maybe see in movies. And you know, movies have gotten really good. You know, I wonder how they got so good about, you know, showing what these demons look like. You know, because I've seen them. I know what they look like. Okay, and they do look an awful lot like what you see when you see on TV, and that's just, oh, it's just fantasy. And no, listen, those things are real. Maybe not real in the movie, but they are real in the spirit. I guarantee you they're real. All right. It manifests full-fledged into an exceeding large, grotesque demon. Now, when that happened, it was like, I don't know. It was like, okay, game playing time is over. Hiddenness, the enemy trying to hide himself. Do you see this happening right now? Are you still listening? Do you see this happening where the enemy is coming out and saying, it's me. It really is me. Do you know that the scripture teaches in the end, and maybe I'll get to these verses tomorrow because I'm out of time. The scriptures say in the end that there will be a full manifestation. There'll be the unholy trinity, some call it, the dragon. Okay, that's the enemy. That's the devil himself. The dragon, the beast, that's the Antichrist. Okay, the false son, there's even an imitation of his death. It says the beast, it says, died and was his deadly wound was healed. There's an imitation resurrection that the Antichrist will do. I'll tell you, you better know the difference between miracles that happen from God and these miracles that happen. The enemy talks about demon spirits in the end days that will do miracles. Many Christians don't even know that's in the Bible. You know why? Not trying to be mean, because we don't even read our Bible anymore. And oh, that's a shameful thing. We need to get back into the Bible. All right. So there's the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. That is Father, Son, and Holy. That is satanic Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We need to know. Do you know why you need to know? Are you listening to me? As my face gets big, okay? Are you listening? It's because you were chosen to live in the end of days. You were chosen to live in this generation that is seeing these things unfold. You better be alert. You better be on fire. You better not be going back and forth about what you believe. You need to know. Now, I knew that if we, now this is really important. I'm closing up. I got 5 minutes. I knew that if we didn't overcome this grotesque thing, that it would overcome us. This is the reality I knew. Now listen. I don't have a lot of dreams about demons. Matter of fact, this is probably maybe one of 5 in my entire life I've had. I get a lot of dreams about the Lord, and, you know, I love that. Jesus, angels, yes, good. So when this happens to me, I pay attention to it. And I want to, like, physically wake you up. I want you to wake up, okay? This doesn't apply to you, great. But if it does, you need to wake up and realize this is not a game we're playing. Heaven and hell is at stake. Eternity. It's not just even about natural life. We're all going to die. We live for a while. We go on. It's what happens after. This is a big deal. We need to know our enemy, not so we can be focused on him all the time. Go back and listen from the beginning, but so that we will know how to stand ourselves and not become a victim. And then in that place of standing, we can help someone else. You know, the enemy's goal is not just for you. You know, sure, he'd like you to backslide and turn away from God and get all crying in your soup and how terrible your life is and all that. But really, that doesn't concern him nearly as much as you being in a place where you can actually help others. It's one thing for you to be pulled out of the pit and your life is all about you. It's quite another thing for you not only to be saved, but you're pulling other people out of the fire. That is the thing that irritates him so much. And I'm so happy about that. All right. So I woke for a few minutes and then I fell back asleep. The second part of this dream, I'm going to have to cover tomorrow because you're going to have some serious questions about the second half of this dream. Believe it or not, it's about a spaceship, okay? And I don't want to freak you out. And I know I'm not going to go all alien and all that. But I believe that it is an example of how people are opening themselves up to things that are really actually demonic when they don't think they are. So All right, I'm going to stop right there. Again, there's a ton of scriptures that I have here. Unfortunately, I am somewhat bound by the clock, and I just pray that the Lord give you spiritual vision. Now, I just want to give you a little bit of a warning, okay? I don't want to freak you out, but one of the reasons I think we don't like to investigate, even on occasion, things about the demonic or our enemy is because oftentimes when you do, he'll come against you. He doesn't, doesn't like it. He doesn't like being exposed, okay? So guard your heart, okay? Don't be afraid. Don't be fearful, but guard your heart and just say, Lord, as a matter of fact, I'm going to pray for you right now that the Lord cover you with the blood as you are gaining discernment about how things work in the spirit world, right? We live in a natural world and a spiritual world. It's not either or, it's both and. They're both happening at the same time. God wants you to live in joy and peace, but he also wants you to live in holiness, in discernment. He wants you to be able to recognize your authority over the enemy so that you can walk in power over himself. Amen. Let's pray. Father, thank you for your words. Jesus, I want to thank you for those who listen today. I ask you to encourage their hearts, give them strength, help them to know that they have nothing to fear. Lord, their enemy is defeated, but help us to also know when to rebuke, when to come against, when to act in the opposite spirit. Show us, Lord, how to walk with the weapons of our warfare, which are not carnal, but mighty through you. Bless and encourage your people today as they grow in discernment. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, nice to be back. Some of you will get instructions, well, not instructions, but an invitation to partner with Linda and I in our next venture. See, if you're getting something out of these messages, we need to go and preach the gospel. Okay, our life is about preaching the gospel, loving ourselves, loving God, loving our family, but preaching the gospel. And we need your help to do it. How shall they go, the Bible says, how shall they preach unless they're sent? You are our senders. So we need your help. And we're not embarrassed about it, but we're trusting the Lord. We're believing God. He's going to help us. So if you want to know more about that, you can ask. Some of you, like I said, will receive something either by text or mail. If you don't and you would like something, please let us know. I'll tell you what we're doing even more. So I love you guys. God bless you. It's been awesome being with you this morning, and I will be here tomorrow. So we're starting up again. The Lord made that very clear to me, so I'm not off the hook yet. Don't want to be. But tell your friends, okay? And again, want to remind you, you literally can help this program. Literally. And it literally only takes you seconds to do. By commenting, okay? By hitting the like button, either the heart or the care or the angry. I hope you don't get angry, or just the like, the thumbs up. By hitting that, by making a comment, like Fred just did, or yes, sir, I'm trying, Randy. God bless you, Randy. Love you, brother. And then finally, by sharing. And if you do all three of those things, it really, because they limit who sees this. I hate that, but they limit who sees this. And your participation in that regard actually opens things up, and more people will literally see this by you doing those three things, or even one of those things, than wouldn't. So thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. As always, give yourself permission to have a great day. God bless you.